going to talk about how to see things and the way that memory participates in this. How to have both a conscious existence while still having a view of the future and an anchoring to the past, meaning you have to have an identity of self, and your identity of self beyond the moment that you're living with the feelings that you have. There's an identity that you have. You could call it the ego. You could call it this past history memory system that gives you some sort of path or validates your existence, that you don't exist, as they say. Everything exists right now. Surely this is true. But in our minds, we have both the future and the past, and we have our dreams. So these things jumble up to become something that we perceive right now in the moment. And I want to explore the idea of how it is that you can see things as they really are and also see the future so that you can adjust and change and manipulate your immediate environment. You could call it your aurea or your area or your aura, the circular kind of radiating energetic system that's around you so that you can, as they talk about making shields and having different shells and eggs around you that give you protection, and also you can let people into to show them things. And so we're going to talk about what this what is going on in people's heads, both physically and emotionally and spiritually, so that they're able to see things for what they are in the moment. So when you look out into the world, that you see, and you can see what people are, and you can see what things are and what symbols are. There is certainly a value to sitting and observing silently everything as an energetic system, but that verges on getting swallowed up into the abyss and walking around aimlessly. Because surely, as Siddhartha did, he eventually became thirsty. You eventually become hungry. You eventually, when you're a spirit, want to participate in a tangible, dense realm. And while we're here, the people listening to me probably understand that they're both physical, as in man, devil, uh, very physical object, but they're also spirit. They say that we are a spirit having a human experience. So when we can examine what the spirit is in our minds and what we see as a future and what kind of paths we'd like to take, we have to understand the things that are in front of us or inside of us currently. So, this is an exercise and an idea of when I talk to people and they don't understand what I'm saying, it has a lot to do with their own blockages in their mind, both emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Things that are physically lodged into their brains, such as heavy metals and salts. And once again, for everyone that this channel is really new, but I have hundreds of other videos on another channel that I'm going to repost on here, so we'll explain this in further in depth. But what we're getting at here is showing the linkage between the tool, which is language and words and letters, grammar, the grimoire, and this magical realm that we live in our minds, and how to produce that and how to see it, how to see the symbolism in front of us, and how to understand what our memory is, as the word memory comes from mem and ori, meaning water and light, and what's in our bodies and what's in our minds. And if we have a pond that is dirty, if we have a pond that is full of salt, if we have a pond that is full of all sorts of unused or heavy metallic items, and that We're talking about a pond in front of us, but we could also be talking about our brain. If we have that pond that's not still and not clean, not pure water, the reflection that we'll receive will be dirtied. It won't be exactly as it is. It will be confusing. But there's a way, even with a confused mind, that we can see through that by seeing symbolism. When your mind is clean, it's easy to see. It's easy to understand people's vibration and what they are, and whether or not you want to participate in their existence, and whether or not you should use some aikido of the mind, some judo of the mind, and just sidestep all of this. Because there's times to do that, and there's times, obviously, to participate in this dense physical realm, in the dance, in the love, in the whatever it is that you want, in the art, in the forms that is in front of you, or else you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have chosen to be here. And so this is for people to understand how to see what I'm talking about and see for themselves the symbols in front of them by using their memories and basically adjusting and changing what a memory means. People have PTSD or traumatic memories of the past, and they hang on to those, thinking that the same thing will exactly happen again, when most of the time it doesn't, if not all of the time. But they produce a toxin, they produce a toxin of the mind that it's going to happen again because they've attached that memory to only the traumatic moment in the past, not seeing the growth that developed of that, not seeing that the life still exists beyond that. So, by adjusting the way that we see past experiences, we can adjust the way we see current experience, and we can adjust the way that we would like to get involved in the future and what we'd like the future to be. And a lot of it is bound up in language. It doesn't start there because, in truth, everything is an imagination, a picture in the mind. And these symbols and these letters only serve to try to articulate a story so that we may share it with other people. Without language, there is no past and there is no future and there is no sharing of information. The language is the tool to do that. This is why storytelling can be so very important. Silence is also very important. But as we get back into this idea of what language is, what symbols are, and seeing these things in the current reality and explaining to you how to see things, we can look at different people don't understand how I can make such grand assessments of something that seems so mundane because to them that tiny little package with that little symbol means nothing, or that few words that someone said was just, oh, they just said that. But when you realize the cycles and the value of how language is used, because it's used every day by everyone, especially in the media, when you get underneath this and you see these symbols that are used to trigger things within the mind because they're basically, you could get into how they're connected to the platonic solids or how they're connected to the most basic shapes that form the world, and so that resonates with people, literally within the eyeball and in the consciousness of people. There's a resonation factor that occurs between simple symbols and the way people see and view the world. And so we can contemplate through all of the letters what each one looks like, what it means, what its value is. And then we can start to look at people, and we can realize that people, their faces and their gestures and their posture, these are all outpourings of a mental paradigm, of a mental situation.